Hey friends, hey, I hope you all enjoyed last week's episode of the podcast, which was part 1 to the awesome episode I got to film with my brother-in-law. This week is part 2, and so I just wanted to come on here real quick. If you haven't listened to part 1, part 2 might be a little bit confusing, so go back, listen to part 1, and then come and join us on this week's episode. I love you guys, and I hope you enjoy this week's episode.
I think we both are, I think we're both talking from where we're at in life, and we both grew up in church, and I keep using the word church. I had a great childhood.
No hate towards church.
I had a great childhood, great experience at church. Where I'm at in my relationship with God is, I know there's things that I mess up in daily, there are, and every day my prayer has been, God, I just want to be more like you, whatever that looks like. And I'll be honest, not only has God done something crazy for me in my life, and I continue to just fall more in love with Him, but it's getting to share that with people who would never experience it. You know, it's such a humbling experience. Genuinely, where I'm at in life right now is I'm in a happy place. You know what I'm saying? Not everything. There's stresses, there's struggles, but I just look at what God's done in our group, and we call our group family up here, and it's you just look at it and you're it's not because of us. I think we do some things really well. We have some really good systems, but I think honestly it starts with our heart for God. Yeah. And it's got to be Him, because we're not that good. We do things phenomenal. There's great things, but it's a heart for God. I wanted to kind of talk. We're going to talk about where you've been in a minute, and then probably be done, because we've been on this for a minute. But
hey, this is going to be a 2-part series.
So what I was going to say is, I remember you were looking at coming to the church, and you were in a place that you were really empty. And I don't remember, was I serving as a student
when I came?
Yeah.
Well, that was the whole reason that I had gotten started, was because you were doing fall retreat as youth pastor for the first time, and then of course Abby had just had Charlie, so I was going to help her, but also I was going to you, and I just kind of felt the pull of I don't know, I guess I just kind of felt the pull of I say this as humbly as possible. I was there might be things that I could help partner along.
Oh, for sure, there still are.
I don't mean that in a cocky or prideful way.
Hang on, not to one of my favorite things. I told you earlier, you're one of the most gifted, anointed people. But Savannah, we just did a late day, and in Savannah, so I was trying to grill hamburgers and hot dogs, and I started a fire. I started a grill fire. I don't think I've hit my dad pinnacle or my dad peak yet. Because maybe I have. I started a grill fire. That thing was shooting.
Oh, it was flames.
You know it's bad when somebody runs up from the other side of the property with a bottle of water to help get it out. And Savannah steps in, and just her and Miss Gabby stepped in, and who's one of our leaders, stepped in and not only put the fire out, literally, but you guys took over grill duty, and I've
never ever grilled. Now Miss Gabby, she's grilled a lot. She grills all the time at her house.
Phenomenal cook, by the way.
But before she got there, though, I had done 2 pans of hamburgers, and I was I hope these are cooked right. And then thankfully Miss Gabby came to kind of save the day, because she had known about stuff. But I'd never grilled before. But
literally an angel. But
she is. She's
but
awesome.
great person. But anyways, going back to that is you were joking about stepping in and helping places. I think you were coming along to help, and I'm not trying to overstep my bounds, but I think I actually asked you to speak on that retreat, if you remember. I don't think you remember that. Yeah.
You to do the devotion.
Do one of the girls' devotions, and again, just because I knew there was. My whole thing with last year's retreat is I just felt God really telling me they can come and say the right words, they can do the right things, but if they're not pure at heart, I don't want them. And that's where I'm at now. I don't care how well you say things. If you're not truly after God with your heart and your daily walk, I don't care. And so, I do care, but I just, for our house, for this house, I want us to be purely after God. And so you came out there and you were in an empty place. You really were. Like, I think you had just stopped doing this too. I think you were either on the
I
brink.
did the last podcast episode, as I have been reminded by a multitude of people. December 5th was the last episode that I did.
Yeah, so it was right after retreat. And I think
I started attending the church like the first week of December.
Yeah.
Well, so I was still doing Redemption's early service in Cleveland, and then afterward I would come to Mount Olive because I was like, I can't make the for sure decision yet.
Well, not even like on a church promo thing. The reason I'm saying this is like you came here and God, first of all, God gets all the credit and glory for what he did on retreat. One of the most powerful things I've ever experienced. That Saturday night service, we had awesome. Students falling out in the spirit, students receiving calls to ministry, people who had like real hurt in their life, like getting freedom from it. And it's just one of those things that God really ministered to us, and shout out to our whole team that like made retreat happen.
Oh yeah.
I mean, genuinely, I say this, I try to tell our team this every week, but some of the greatest individuals I've ever had the pleasure of serving with, like it doesn't even feel like a leadership team. Like they literally
feel like friends.
They're family. I view them as family. I mean, they really,
family,
I love them to death, and they made it happen. But you came in and just started like plugging in. You know what I'm saying? And it's been cool for me, not only as like the person over it, but also, you know, as your brother-in-law and a friend, like just seeing you grow. Like I've seen you go to new heights and God take you to new places, and not only like in serving him, but like your confidence and your relationship with him. And I think you found like real peace in that. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe not completely where you want to be, but I think there was some things that you experienced in your experience with church or friendships or even relationships that you were not comfortable in. Yeah. And I think as you got into the right family and the right house, we have it written in our leadership room, but it's a verse in Psalm that says, those who are planted in the house of the Lord shall flourish. Yeah. And I think it's important that we get planted in the right family, in the right environment, around the right people. Oh, yeah. And again, that's all credit to our leaders. That's all credit to just the mentality that we took about it, that we weren't going to play the traditional church game. I don't think we tried. We try not to, but we were going to try to be as genuine and authentic, and our leaders have done a phenomenal job at setting that culture, that atmosphere. And I truly believe God will rest where he's wanted, where he's truly wanted.
And I think just in the 6 months that I've been here, I do think that the youth group is going to that place. Yeah. And that was the whole reason that I wanted to come, was because I wanted to come and partner alongside and see. I mean, obviously with everything in life, it's all for the glory of God, but to specifically see people see the Jesus that I feel like I know and see, like, you know, and see them encounter him in that way. And I do feel like for sure the youth group is, I mean, this past Wednesday was... Yeah.
My boy at PC reading the word too, by the way.
And then with the way that worship went, and what I loved about it wasn't about us, it was all about the Lord. And, you know, which is worship should be. It shouldn't be about us. It should be all about the Lord. But it was such a sweet environment. And it was just such a sweet thing. But with that, it's so easy if we live in a worldly mindset of like looking at A, B, C, D, oh, this fault, and this, and this person, this, and this, and that. But at the end of it, it's like, okay, well, were you there to focus on the people, or were you there to actually focus on God and give it to God? And like, I will say, the first little bit of me coming here, it was really hard for me to get to that place, because, you know, at the other church, it's a little bit easier to kind of hide and like kind of blend in. So then you don't have to focus on people. You don't have to think about that. But in a place like this, especially with me being connected, you know, to you and stuff, you can't hide as much. And so, and me being, you know, fearful of what people think, I'm like, what are they thinking about this? What are they thinking about it? And it's just all these thoughts.
Our leaders are so good at developing relationships with people. And that's where life change really can happen, because now I heard a youth pastor talk about this a couple years ago, and I brought it back to her team, is we like to think of the story of the lost sheep, right? So there was 100 sheep, one gets lost, and we focus a lot on that one, and that one is so important. But the reason that they were able to know one was missing is they knew they had 100 sheep to begin with.
Yeah.
And every 100 matters. It doesn't matter if it was that one sheep, the one that actually got lost, or any of the others. Like, Jesus would have left to go find that one. And our leaders have been so amazing at making sure that if one is missing, like, we're stepping up to the plate. And it's not, again, I think sometimes it's so easy to get a thing built around the leader or the head or the pastor or whatever it is. And it's not. Like, up here, we try to make it as where it is as family driven as possible. Like, everybody has their own thing and they have their own place, and
it has something to bring.
They contribute. And that's the other thing about a family is I think sometimes it's so easy to get, like, families, you're either born into them or you get adopted into them or whatever. And families can be so tight-knit, like, it's hard to become a part of it. But I think our family and our culture up here has done such an amazing job at making sure if there is somebody new, we're finding out where they can be plugged in, where they can connect. And I think that's essential to, so many kids nowadays, they lose out on, they walk away from church. I don't think it's because we're not preaching the right word. I don't think it's because we don't have the newest PS5s or whatever. I think it's because they're missing the connection point of it, And it's so easy to walk into church and feel like you're a number, or feel like you're just a statistic. Like, oh, hey, we had 75 students here. But every one of those 75 students matters. They have lives that are drastically different. Some of them are in really good places. Some of them grew up in church, or they just found Jesus and they're killing it. Their relationships grow, and you can see it. The Bible tells us you'll know my true disciples by their fruit, and you can see what they're carrying. But then you've got some who maybe they're just new to church, or maybe they've grown up in church and they're like me. They're just a little wild person, and so it's all about how do we get each and every one of these kids to grow in the actual relationship, not just come hear a good message and great job and I can sing really well, but like, how do we get them to really know who Jesus is? And anyways, I say that to say, like, it's been cool because I've actually got to really experience that on both sides of it with you. So I've got to see it here, like I've got to see the offerings here, but then I also like get to, like, when you'll go home, like on your way to Georgia, you'll call me and we'll talk about things, or like you'll come over to the house and all of us will sit down and talk, and like you can just see the development in you personally. But I see it like, again, it's all glory to God first and foremost. It's all Him, but it's also the right leaders, the right people in the right place, and the right students. Like, our students have been crushing it. Anyways, but I kind of wanted to get your take on that. I try to give praise where praise is due, because again, it's not, it is all, it's all God. It's great leaders, great people who care and they're passionate and they're pure at heart with Jesus, and then students who they're not afraid to be themselves. I think that's what I love so much. I had a student who we were doing a sermon, and I was talking about King Nebuchadnezzar, and he said, hey, when the music plays, like, everybody will bow down and worship this idol. And I was like, so I want you to imagine King Nebuchadnezzar brought like all the biggest artists, and I love this kid, literally, like, this dude's so funny. He's like, I was like, hey, who do you think King Nebuchadnezzar would have brought today? This boy goes, Kevin Gates. And I was like, I literally stopped. I like tried not to laugh, and I was like, maybe not Kevin Gates. But it was the coolest part of that to me funny. Is because he like felt the freedom enough to say that and not be judged. And not be, and I tell him like almost weekly, I'm like, dude, that's literally one of the funniest moments that's happened to me like ever. Because it just, dude, the whole room erupted in laughter. Funny. And I'm like dying laughing. And I literally like I had to get back in my train of thought. But it's that whole like, we need to have the freedom to like, be ourselves. If you're gonna listen to that outside of church, like, please don't be afraid to hide that in church. Like, that is who you are.
Yeah.
And don't
Not
feel...
saying the Lord won't convict you
No,
about it.
yeah. Not saying
don't
Kevin
hide
Gates.
it.
But it's one of those things that was like, if that's literally who you are, okay, cool. Like,
we'll walk with you through that.
don't try to, because again, we can hide that stuff and be like, oh, it's not church appropriate. But are you experiencing it outside?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was one of the, and I've seen that dude grow, man. Like, I've seen that kid grow so much in the past year. Actually, Wednesday, him and I had a conversation about him taking on some leadership stuff in terms of like getting some other kids involved. But yeah, but again, it's because that moment right there was able to happen. I attribute it a lot to this. Like, he didn't feel this conviction of like, oh, they think less of me, they do this.
Yeah.
And we continue to love him and care for him. And now he's in a place where like, I've really seen God start to grow him and grow his relationship. But kind of want to get your experience on that, and then we'll answer where you've been, and then
my experience on like what?
Like just finding community that has been genuine and authentic for you.
Yeah. It's exciting to say I have a little friend group now, which is,
who are all studs, by the way, all rock stars,
studs and gals and styles and everything.
Love them to death.
But it's
Genuinely.
just, I think what's awesome is like being around these people. I've never felt like I said, back to the whole church thing, and I'm not like, anyways, but
we're not bashing the church.
No,
Please
we're not
understand.
bashing the church.
You need to be in a church.
Yeah, 100%. You're not meant to do life alone. You're not meant to just
those
watch
who
online.
are
You're not meant to do that.
Those who are planted in the house.
Yeah.
Like it is
in a
very
body of people.
It is very clear and abundant that you need to do life in community.
Yeah.
Jesus found 12. Like
Yeah.
he had people in his circle. You need life in community.
Yeah.
I think the problem that we have is like people kind of they make it something that it was never intended to be.
Yeah.
If we can say that. Anyways.
Yeah.
Back to the you found genuine community.
Back to that. I'm going to cut this part out. The camera's about to die, so
Okay.
we might want I just saw the
Let's
red
wrap
light.
it. Let's wrap it.
But, okay, we're going to cut that out. But back to that. So, yeah, I found friends. That's literally the name of our group chat. I'm like, oh, I have a group chat with people that I'm friends with. But I say all that to say I brag on them because it's refreshing to be around people where I don't feel like I'm constantly being tugged to do things that go against, like, my convictions. And, like, that was something I always struggled with. Was one I just never really found. I never really found my group and my people, but like also another thing was just I always was just kind of being pulled to do things that I was like I'm not really a fan of this. And so through that, but I found a good community of people that I'm good friends with and stuff. And it's like it's just refreshing to not always feel like the Debbie Downer of the group because I'm like, oh, like no, we probably shouldn't be doing that, guys. Like it's so refreshing to not always be that. Because like, it's just nice and stuff. But I will say through that though, it's just, you just see different aspects and sides of love of God. Like through all of it, through any relationship in life, you will see a different aspect of God. Whether it's, through your father, you see a fatherly aspect of a relationship with God. You view how you view God as the father. With your mother, you see it as a nurturing and stuff like that. Through, a sister or brother, or whatever, you see it in like a fun, like joking manner, but it's someone that's always there. Like there are all different sides of God you can see, through these things. And so for me, it's just been really, really nice and refreshing just to be like, oh wow, I have a group of friends that I can hang out with and I'm not feeling like I'm constantly pulled in like a negative direction or I'm constantly leaving feeling like, I just kind of feel gross after being like I leave and I'm like, man, I can't wait till the next hangout. Like, I'm like, or you guys are going to stay up and do this. Like, no, please, I want to do this and stuff. And so like, it's just fun getting to have that. And like I said, and just not being pulled in a way that's pulling you away from God, but it's people that, you're growing and you're doing life together. And it's just fun. It's just fun. I mean, literally last night, me and a friend at the lake day, we just sat and me and her talked. She's one of the people in our friend group. Me and her talked for like 20, 30 minutes. And I was like, man, this is like so refreshing. I was like, because one, I was able to talk to her and be like, okay, so I'm not alone in going through these things. Like everybody's going through this stuff. And like two, she's kind of walked through it and could give me a different perspective on it and stuff. Like, it just was refreshing, and that's just the best way I can describe it. Is it's just all refreshing. So I think it is important as Christians for us to have community, because we're getting to a day and age where all these materialistic things are not going to last. The world has a lot of things, and there may be a day where we might not be allowed to gather in physical church buildings. We might not be allowed to watch on live stream. Who are we going to have to surround us to continue to push us closer to the Lord? Yeah. Like, that's why we need that. Jesus ministered to the thousands, but he had his 12, and then even within the 12, he had the three. So, like, it's important for us to have those things. And so I say all that to say, it's really refreshing, it's really nice, and I like it. It's good.
I think it's been really good for you. And so now the question that we really were going to talk about this whole podcast, and we ended up
we'll have to do another episode
everything.
All about it.
I'm game. We need to do one with chicken wings next time, like hot wings. And as the questions progress, that's biting wings. Something, yeah. So here's the question everybody wants to know. Where have you been, and where is the future going? Where are we headed?
Oof. Okay, where have I been? So like I said, with everything, with the transition between churches, and just because I've stressed this on the podcast.
Finding a boy.
Actually, the boy found me. Thank you very much. As God intended, men pursue women. But anyways, that's for another time. But
real men say they love you after 2 dates. Sorry, 2 weeks.
Or the first night of talking after Bible study.
When you know.
But anyways, and so I, with the transition and all that, I'll just be honest, I kind of just was like, I have poured out and I have pushed and pushed and pushed so much that I was like, okay, I need to just pause, because I knew what I was pouring out, which there was a lot of other factors with it. One, I have never really been, like I said, I never really had close friendships. So people would kind of say stuff about the podcast, but their opinion was just kind of like, oh, that's awesome. But like having close friends, I was like, oh crap, their opinion actually matters to me. And like, it was terrifying. But anyways, though, and so I just kind of took a break, and I just have been, like I said, God's been exposing a lot of things in my life, and exposing things within my heart that, he didn't intend for me to live with and to deal with forever. And so through that, I was like, I didn't feel like I could necessarily pour out what I wanted to pour out on here, and I could give what I wanted to give. And I'll be honest, sometimes I still don't feel like I'm at like 100% ready to like do it. But also I've been feeling like this push of like, I need to do it and stuff. And
which also your boyfriend my guy has been, here's the deal with real community and real people in your life. They don't tell you what you want to hear. They push you to grow, and they tell you what you need to hear. Anyways,
yes.
Back.
Yes, and he has also been pushing me and stuff, which, it's amazing with that. And so, it's been really good. But I just, like I said, just with the transition of all that and everything, with so much change and with so much the Lord exposing, I didn't feel like I could produce what I wanted to produce. So with saying that, with the future, I'll be honest, I have no idea where it's gonna go. I know my goals and dreams and desires are still the same as they were beforehand. With Truly You, I still in my heart, my goal with anything is to see a generation, and specifically mine, or just people around me, but my generation specifically, know their identity in the Lord. Mm-hmm. And to know the Lord. Not just know of the Lord, not to just know of Bible verses, but to genuinely, deep down, be confident in their relationship with Him and their identity in Him. And like I said, and for me, I feel like the past 6 months have been like a shaking to be like, no, I'm like, of the Lord being like, I'm going to make sure you have a firm foundation in your identity in me. So I'm going to show you all these things that are cracking your foundation so that you can literally stand firmer. And I'm like, okay,
Why
Lord.
did I want to sing Christ is my firm? Sorry. Anyways.
Both sung that on the wrong key, but it's okay. But, so I don't know what that looks like. I know, like I said, my desires and my goals are still the same, and I will say there have been goals that have been desires that have been amplified the past few months, that I really feel like through anything, I just want to do what the Lord's heart is. And I think His heart in this day and age is, I think He wants to see families restored. I think he wants his people to know their identity in him and not just to be like, oh, I'm a daughter of the king, I'm a son of the king or whatever.
I'm a Christian.
Huh?
I'm a Christian.
I'm a Christian.
I am a CH.
I am a CH. I am a CHRISTIN.
Okay, anyways.
I can do the supersonic speed version of that song. But anyways, and so not just knowing these things to know them as, oh, I'm this and that, but to genuinely like encounter Jesus and see people do that and stuff. And I think for me, I always thought for so long it was going to be in a church, and I think that it's beautiful when we see that in a church. But I think for me, I also want to go out and stuff. And so as far as the clothing store, it's not done. I will say that for sure. I know I took a pause on it. We still have the website up, but I took a pause on it. But I got to figure things out. As with anybody, we're being authentic here and we're being real because, we're not putting on a show. I think I just gotten over my head with some things, and there was a lot of things I did not know. And there still is a ton of things I don't know, which is what stopped me because I was like, I'm so scared. And it still does. I mean, I'm not going to lie, it still does. But I know that there are these desires deep down within me that I've had desires since I was a little kid. And I think this is the Lord's way of like, this is how I want to use you. So as far as the future of Truly You, I don't know. I have no idea what it's going to look like. Like I said, I have visions and I have dreams and I have goals for it. I don't know what that's going to look like. But for the podcast, I'm ready for it. We're ready to get it back going. We're back, baby. We're back. So that's where we be. If that answers the question correctly, I don't know.
I don't think there is a right or wrong answer. I like how you're like, this is where we're headed, and then you're like, I don't know.
I know, as if I'm not the one that's over it all.
Yeah.
I'm like,
we'll get Jonathan on an episode. We'll see how that.
I've loved how we've talked about him this whole entire episode.
Nah, we haven't. We haven't talked about him enough.
60% of the episode.
Yeah, that's okay. That's not enough for me. Here's the deal, right? I think with you, I think you're in a really good place. Seriously, I want you to know I'm proud of you. I'm excited for where this is going to head, where the journey is. Excited to see the doors God opens, but just like, I don't know, I felt this in my heart like as we were recording. If you're out there listening, and whoever it is, if you've really struggled like finding a relationship with Jesus, I just encourage you, really seek Him like on your own. So don't necessarily rely on a pastor to preach a message. Don't rely on, oh, my friend told me this or whatever. For me, some of my most real encounters, and everybody's different, but sometimes I just throw on worship music, and I know sometimes it's hard because sometimes, let's be real, you're dealing with something and you're like, well, what's that going to change in my life? What's that going to help? But I just want to encourage people. Jesus does love you, each and every one of you. I don't care what you've done in your past, what's going on in your life. He is the same God every single day, and He wants to be so real to you. He wants to experience your presence, but He wants you to experience His too. And so, if that's really something, if you're struggling in life and you just feel empty, you feel like you're hurting, just encourage you, take a moment to pray. And prayer doesn't have to be this like elegant thing. You don't have to say the right words. Give Him your all. Tell Him the good things in your life. Tell Him the bad things in your life. Don't be afraid to let it all out. Don't be afraid that you're going to say the wrong thing. Really, just give it like we're having this conversation and it's just not filtered. We're just flowing. I think that's how the conversation with God should be. He should be like a best friend to us. He should be our closest confidant. And so, if that's you out there, I'm gonna take a second and pray with them. If that's cool with you, I don't want to overstep you, but
go ahead.
Just really, I encourage you. He will change your life, and He will bring you hope, and He'll bring you joy, and He'll bring you peace. And if you can just experience not the way that man's made Him out to be, but who He really is, your life will be forever changed. So I'm going to pray. I'm going to let you close out. And then if that's cool.
Yeah.
Dear Heavenly Father, just gather tonight, Lord, as we're shooting this podcast. First and foremost, Lord, we love you and we're so grateful for who you are in our lives, Lord. And I'm so thankful for my friend and my sister-in-law over here, God, who had this vision and this dream of something you've called her to do, God. And I pray as we've had these conversations and we've shared these moments, God, that you've been a part of every part of it, Lord, that in every conversation we had, we glorified you, and hopefully we told people more about you, God. I'm praying for everybody who's listening to this, Lord, wherever they're at, whatever they're dealing with, Lord. I pray that you just speak to them, not only through the conversation that we had and what they're listening to, but Father, just from an encounter with you, Father, a real, genuine, authentic encounter with you where your presence begins to fill their car, their headphones, or wherever they're at, if they're working out, whatever it is, Lord, that there's just a peace and a joy and a hope that comes when we live in relationship with you, Father. Even though situations and things going on in our life may be difficult or they may not change for periods of time, Lord, that there's this assurance and this hope and this promise that we can cling to. And it's in relationship with your Son, Jesus. So, Lord, I pray for healing over broken hearts and broken relationships, Lord, that you begin to mend it, you begin to speak to them, Lord God, and I pray for people to find you in a genuine and real way, Lord, that it changes their life. And for the ones who do know you, I pray that they just continue to grow in their relationship with you and their experience of you, Father, and that we all as a community and a group, Lord, that we look like Jesus more each and every day, Lord. Let that be the cry of our heart. That each and every day we try to get closer to Jesus and we try to show the world more of who you are, Lord. Not the man-made version, but who you really authentically are, Father. Pray that with all our hearts, Lord God. You are the difference maker in our life, Father. Let your glory, let your mercy, let your love shine through us. It's in Jesus' mighty name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I could have prayed for like 3 hours. I've been told I'm long-winded. Anyways, okay.
It's okay. I can too.
Yeah.
We did it, Tuck. We filmed.
Abby will nudge me sometimes. And she's like, wrap it up. We're about to eat Chick-fil-A. Wrap it up.
Come on, let's go, Abby.
Yeah.
That's
but
funny.
Anyways, all right. So, yeah, we're
did
done.
It. We filmed.
Season 2.
This is probably like season 3. I don't know. I'd have to look because I don't know if I ever did a break in seasons.
Season 3, episode 1.
But, well, we did it, guys. So, I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode or these episodes. Yeah, we'll see you next week
with Jonathan.
Yeah, okay. He's like Abby. If I could convince him, if me and you can convince him, that would be great.
I'll come sit in here. I don't care. I'll mediate. I'll sit on a couch and I don't care.
Yeah.
I just need him to come on and just be like, all right, love you, bye.
Yeah, that'd be fine. He could do that.
Just tell the people he cares.
Yeah, show him he cares. I'm sure he would do something like that, but yeah. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. This has been fun. I have missed this. I know Tucker has, but I have missed this. This has been fun. I hope you guys have liked our spoon microphones. Impromptu. New season, new mics.
New spoons. We're actually about to go dig into some cheesecake. This episode is sponsored by no free ads. All right, peace out.
Bye, guys.